Hi guys, how you going? Campbell here from Autodidactic Channel. Hope you're all having a spectacular day. And of course, autodidactic means to be self-educated. And in these times, we need to be self-educated because if we know one thing for sure, it is that his story is not our story. And so I thought we'd have a bit of a look today into the underground. You know, there's been a lot of talk about tunnels and what's underground and buried buildings and mountains and as buildings. So I thought we'd actually have a look at some of these, you know, mountains and so-called mountains, hills, cliffs, etc. And what's actually inside them. So let's get into it. Alright, so this is Cappadocia in Turkey, and it says here, abandoned cave dwellings once used as churches and homes for monks. In the 14th century in Cappadocia, the site is now part of Göreme National Park in Turkey. And as you can see here, what we have is, I mean, these really don't look like carved out cliffs. I mean, when you look at this looks like, and I've got a better photo coming up. It looks like it's had something covered, like poured over the top of it, and they're sort of broken through where the windows and doors are. And of course, you know, when we look at this, you can see this just looks like a building that's lost the front of itself, and this just melted, but they've poked all these holes through. And of course, the story is, you know, like I said, it was a big rock, and they went and just dug holes into it because that's the easiest thing to do, right? You know, it's even easier than turning this into bricks and building houses around here. It's a bit of a silly story. So let's have a read and see what they say. Cappadocia is an ancient district in east-central Anatolia, situated on the rugged plateau north of the Taurus Mountains. In the centre of present-day Turkey, the boundaries of the region have varied throughout history. Cappadocia's landscape includes dramatic expanses of soft volcanic rock, shaped by erosion into towers, cones, valleys, and caves. Ooh. Rock-cut churches and underground tunnel complexes from the Byzantine and Islamic eras are scattered throughout the countryside. Well, isn't that a nice little story? So Cappadocia, we've got, it's all shaped by erosion, but we have towers, cones, which are a cone, of course, is this, the top of a, you know, like a fairy tale tower, castle, valleys, caves, rock-cut churches, and even an underground tunnel complex, or complexes, more than one. So here's a bit more of the shot, but I'll get into some good photos soon. But basically, it's putting it all back in the past again, as they always do. Neolithic pottery and tools found in Cappadocia attest to the early human presence in the region. Excavation of the modern town of Kultep have uncovered the remains of Hittite Assyrian city in Kanesh, dating from the 3rd millennium BC. The tens of thousands of clay tablets recovered from the remains of the Assyrian merchant colony at Kanesh are among the oldest written documents discovered in Turkey. There you go. And as we know, Turkey, you know, lots and lots and lots of old stuff in Turkey. And of course, Göbekli Tepe, which is, now I'm not sure of the size. It's huge. It's like, I don't know, huge, 40 square kilometers or something. It's very, very, very large, and the whole lot's buried. So that's in this same kind of region. So this is really what I wanted to have a look at. And look at that shot. Remind you of anything that we've been looking at lately as far as these patterns? A bit Lichtenbergy. But you'll see here, see how this looks literally like something has come down and just covered everything. It looks like what I'm thinking is, you know, whatever happened, there was probably a lot of airborne dust and, you know, dirt and mud and ash and bits and pieces of stuff. And it may have all come down, because that's what this looks like it's all been covered in a layer of mud that is then turned into rock. And this, yeah, we'll have a look, but you can see these towers are pretty much exactly the same as the ones that we just saw. The ones back here, so this kind of thing here. But they've punched holes through this to get into it, or to get out of it, maybe, I'm not sure. But up here, see this? Same kind of thing. They just haven't got inside it. So here's another, and you can see how widespread these are. So literally, this just looks like a building that's just sort of been ripped in half and melted, and we're just sort of looking into it. This is a bit more. This is in the same area, and I mean, look at this. And we see this kind of thing in Petra, in Egypt, in Aswan, which we'll have a bit of a look at. And yeah, I mean, this is a thing, completely carved out front, so you can see this rock. It looks like it's flowing over, right? Like it's wrapping around and flowed up. And this may have been the front of a building. You know, we have this. Looks like it was, you know, it's similar to this. Could have been the original window, because you can see this sort of square around it. It might have all been pushed forward because that is on an angle. Another bit that looks carved here. You know, this kind of stuff up here. So, you know, this is the thing. Why would people go and carve rock, and they'll say, oh, it was easy to carve and it was soft? Yeah, well, what tools did they have to get these right angles? You know, it might be easy to just dig a hole, but as far as doing this, that's a different story. As you can see, this is the town, and these things just pop up. And when you look at them, you know, what do these look like? They just look like the tops. I mean, that one especially just looks like the top, like a castle turret sticking out of the ground, which we've seen. You know, there's quite a few of them around. So, and a bit more. So I'll just jump in. We'll have a look at some of these pictures of Cappadocia. So here we go. Okay. So these are the towers. I mean, look at this. You can even see this edge here, how it sticks out, and just looking very much like the top, you know, of an old world castle tower. Down here, you can see the striations. It looks, you know, they're all in line. Could be brick. Actually, does that look like brick there? Oh, I don't know. What's that? It's a little pile of bricks. Is that from here? Why else would they be there, right? But yeah, you can see that all these lines going around, even this crack. So you can sort of see the bricks appearing in these cracks. So these look like brick. Oh, and look at this. That looks pretty much like melted brick. So, again, we're told these are natural formations, you know, formed over millions and millions of years. You probably know the story, you know, this. And this is where it sort of falls apart too, because they say this was, you know, the hard stone, right? That's why it's there, and everything else got, you know, either blown away or washed away, you know, eroded away over time. But this was the strong rock, so it stayed there. But now the story is, oh no, this rock is so soft. That's why they used it to build caves inside of. You know, so it's two narratives. Again, this is the same region. And here you can really see how it looks like this stuff. It looks like icing. It looks like something has, you know, come down and formed. And you can see it's a different, slightly different colour to the rest of this. Now look at this. Is this black? Is this burnt? There's blackness all through these pictures. But this looks like, yeah, some kind of coating, doesn't it? That maybe has come down. Look at this. Have we still got a ball on the top of that one? But it looks like something's come down and covered them all. And this may have like literally covered all the buildings, and so they've just literally gone in. Because look at this bit here. See how you can see that's fairly thin and it looks like they've just broken through it. And it just looks like it's all got a covering over it, doesn't it? And look at this, just looks scorched. There you go, bricks. Look at that, bricks. So yeah, natural foundation, and of course I'll say, oh, that was built in there later on, and maybe it was. Who knows? But this is what we're looking at. You can see this just looks like it's the inside of a building that's had the front ripped off it. And we're just looking into, you know, that looks like a half dome almost. I'm not sure how tall these are, what the scale is. You know, windows, doors, all this kind of stuff. Again, that just looks like a building that's had the front ripped off it. And also looks very much like it's had icing or something just, you know, poured over the top of all these, you know, over all the tops, because these are all points, right? These are, you know, the cones they talk about. Tops of towers is what they look like to me, and these, yeah, the buildings below them, the castle. And this is the town. This is, you know, Cappadocia, I believe. Look at this. Nice old Antiquitech tower that survived. And as you can see, this literally is a town that's been built on top of the ruins of an old town. Look down here. See these buildings? Look, literally, I mean, look at this is rock. So we have this sort of joining, melting effect again here. A window just literally in the rock. And these are apparently what they'll say are caves. And then on the top, you can see, you know, these buildings have been built and they look like they've been filled in. And then people are building on top again. Look at this nice big archway there. And this, yeah, look at, I mean, this is just bizarre. You know, old world brick walls everywhere. Look at that. Is that just a square container that's full of something? Full of dirt and grass. Maybe they've got earthen roofs. But you can see this is just all built on top of the old world. There's some nice big arches there. And they've plonked this little bit on the top of it. You know, right next to these old melted buildings. And of course, up the top here, what do we have but the main bit of the structure, I guess, or the main bit that survived. And again, just doorways and tunnels and things all through it. You know, the whole thing's just, yeah, it's apparently carved, but I think maybe actually just a melted building. This is just another pic, one last pic. Just, again, just for the landscape, you know, these are those towers we saw, and they, again, just look like the tops of castle towers, don't they? Popping up. And this just all looks completely covered, completely mud flooded out. Huge city just covered up, and they've gone on and just built on top of it and called them all caves. Now this is down the road, so this is what we were just looking at there. This is the bit that's sticking up in that town. So you can say this is a few, you know, kilometres away, but same thing. So how big was the town that was here, or the city that was here? Because again, see here, you get this melting. You know, like something fine has just been laid over everything, and they've had to sort of go in and chip it away to get back in, build their doorways, and then they just add onto it as well with their new houses. Here you can see these old world, you know, like some people call them fairy tales and things. Surviving tower, and yeah, just sticking up out in the middle of the town. These big old world dwellings, and look at the outside as well. And look at here, there's two more, looking very much like towers, aren't they? And the whole area just looking just like one big melted flow, like this kind of Lichtenberg kind of effect. So what's really going on here? What are we looking at? So this is, yeah, what I was talking about, when we looked at the photo before, these look like those towers that haven't been broken into, haven't had doors and windows cut in them. They're all leaning back a bit. So maybe they got blown over, and then all covered with this, whatever it is. It looks like it coats them and hardens into a rock. You can see it here. It's almost like a limestone slurry kind of thing. Looks like. So yeah, these all empty inside. Are these all towers that have yet to be investigated? And again, I think this is called Penis Park. It's where you get your rocks off. That's all a bit rude, isn't it, really? But same kind of deal. These are supposed to be natural formations, but really, look at them all. They just all look the same. They're almost in rows. And we get these, of course, these lines on all of them. The striations going sideways. This is in India. These are the Anjar caves. Actually, no, these aren't caves. These are temples. So the Ajanta caves, they are caves in India. These, as you can see here, are Buddhist rock-cut cave temples and monasteries located near Ajanta village, north-central Maharashtra state in western India. They are celebrated for their wall paintings. The temples are hollowed out of granite cliffs. Granite. Of course they are. On the inner side of a 70-foot or 20-meter ravine in the Waguna River. Okay, and we get this story a lot, basically built in impossible places. And the story we always get is, the reason for that is it was built for monks and they wanted to be alone. They didn't want people to be able to get to them. How on earth would monks or anyone build this back in the day? So here we see. And you can even see, look at this. See all these levels, really, aren't they? They're all equidistant, all the same size, going up and back up into the mountain here. All the, what we call mountains. And, look, pillars carved in, apparently, into the granite. Doors, the whole thing. And, of course, stairways, just to get up there. Or you've got to build these stairways before you can even start on this. Look at this arch here. It looks like it's got a lintel there. And so it's just, some more silly stories. Here it is. That's that nice big arch we could see. So you can see that literally looks like the face of a building that has been covered, and they've just cleaned off the face of it. That's exactly what that looks like. Look at these. Come on. Look at this lintel. How's that even... See, that's not carved from the rock. That's been put there. See, you can see a join there, and a join there. It's this heat. And, of course, these pillars, they're not even full pillars. You can see these ones here have been wasted away, melted or something. But they're not full-size pillars. Why would you build half a pillar? You can see the top there, and there's no bottom bit. No pedestal. And the same thing down here. It just looks like flow has come over buildings. And, again, maybe they just had to knock the front bit off that sort of came down and set. And they've got access into these, and now they're temples. And they tell us they're temples. You can go inside them. And they are full of stuff. Like, I don't know, domes and things. Like this. This is inside. Look at this domed roof. Even the end is this, this sort of semicircle kind of look that we see. You see it on all the cathedrals. It's just there. Look at this. Why would they be carving, if this was carved from rock, why would they be carving all these supports? These are all beams. And again, did this all get was this wood that got submerged? Because was that wood that got turned to rock? Don't know. This looks very antiquity, this, doesn't it? And this is all inside. Apparently, this is the story. They tell us that they just dug in, and they ended up carving this. I mean, come on. And of course, you know, people go to university and they study and they come out thinking they're really smart, and they try and tell us this stuff is how they tell us. This is inside as well. Look at the ceiling. Look at this. How's it even possible to carve that? It looks like it's, you know, I don't even know. How'd they get in behind it? And completely covered, you know, painted gold and everything. But this is obviously, this could have all been retrofitted, all the actual artwork. But yeah, and this again looking black. I don't know, is that the stone that's been blackened there? But this is inside those hand-cut caves. Hand-cut, here we go, hand-cut by monks. And this is really good. You can kind of see what I'm talking about here. It looks like something's covered and either floated or melted or come, you know, sort of settled from the air, floated down, and just like made this wall, and they've just snapped it off. You can almost see where it's broken off. And this just looks like meltage down here, doesn't it? I'm not sure what this bit is. But again, this looks like they've snapped off. This bit got hit. They got their window out. And yeah, just blackened, right? And this in here looks very black. And now is that, I don't think it is where we're just looking. Maybe it's another place, but this looks like a bell, doesn't it? Big bell. And look, I mean, it's just the stuff we see everywhere. And you can see, look at that pillar, and look like the bottom of this one got blown off. You can almost see where it fit into there. So yeah, all carved by hand by monks with copper tools, so that they could, you know, get some peace, because they don't like people. Apparently, I mean, this is. There you go. And again, these columns don't have bottoms on them. They don't, you know, they go all ornate at the top, but don't put the pedestal, the stand at the bottom. So clearly that. I'd say this, you know, ground has been filled in. It's come up a little bit. Another view. And these places, they're huge inside. Well, they're massive old buildings. Here's another, same kind of area, but it's a different place. And the same thing. This is all in India. Now, this is back in Turkey, and these are called the lysine tombs. And same stories we just saw in India. All hand carved as tombs, basically. But I mean, these just look like the entrances to buildings, do they not? Now, it's the same thing. Look at that. That just looks like, you know, a huge building. These massive sort of church, you know, sort of Star City type structures that we see. And it looks like it's just been, you know, burnt out. We've got all these burn marks everywhere. And then we just have these. I mean, look at that. That literally looks, I mean, that's stone. It's got a roof on it. And they've just carved out the door, apparently. And they're saying, oh no, this is a rock they carved. That looks like a building that's turned to stone. Doors down here. And again. And as you can see, it's all very precise. Right angles, and you know, no stuff ups. That everything's been done perfectly. They didn't make any mistakes as they were carving all these. Of course, there's been some wear and tear, but you can see to start with, these were all perfect. I mean, look at underneath there, which looks suspiciously like a piece of wood, by the way. I don't know, 3-4 bits of wood, not sure, but yeah, look at that work. And didn't break anything, didn't break any of these, didn't break the rock, and all perfect. First time, every time. And some more. And this again, up here you can see that we've got the flat wall inside, and it just looks like this has been sort of broken off to gain access. One of the pillars has snapped off. So this is Petra, of course, where we see the same kind of effect of this kind of flow that looks like it's come over and buried buildings. And as you can see, this one is, you know, sort of, you can see the top of it sticking out, right? In a lot of the ones in Petra, like literally it's just the front, like we were just looking at in India. But this one has survived a bit better. So this is this, and of course that looks very pyramid-like in here. So yeah, how far does this go back? Look at that brick wall. All these carved out bits. Is that a brick wall? It looks a bit like brick, doesn't it? That definitely is. And this is Aswan in Egypt. And this one, this looks a bit like a ball or something here, this statue. But look at this meltage right down into the water. And see this line? Got bricks here. Look, this line goes through the bricks and then out into this rock. And around here. So, you know, look at the rubble everywhere. Look at the mountain. You know, look at this in the background. Of course, bits sticking out of the top of these hills. And it's the same old story all over the place. And this is where we get the effect, like looking like Petra, where it looks like this has just flowed over. And as you can see, you can go inside there. This is all empty inside. So it's a building of some kind, and it's been melted and covered over. And here's another one of Aswan in Egypt, just same kind of thing. You can see it looks like they've cleaned this bit up and carved it out, but what's this? A building that's been melted, same as this, flow. So yeah, it looks like all this, you know, all these hills, all mountains, what are they? What's under them? Because the more we look, the more we seem to find. Alright, and I just wanted to finish on, these are caves in California called Sunset Cliffs. So this, as you can see, apart from what's in the water here, that, you know, just looks like it could be bits of broken wall, right? Yeah, this big opening here. And of course, down near the beach, they always tell us that this is just, you know, water's just blown a hole through the rock for some reason. But yeah, we can see it looks like an opening. There's all funny shapes around, striations. And there's some interesting caves down here. So this is in the same area, but see this big, and I've started to notice this a lot, this blue metal, or these big rocks at the back here, just piled up there. Where did they come from? I would like to hear the explanation why there's just a random pile like that, and that's, you know, that's tons and tons of rock. And of course, where is it? Look at the lines here. Of course, you know, geology will say that wind has blown those out, and who knows? We can see almost what look like levels or steps down here. Now this is an opening, as you can see. That's quite a nice line, that opening there. This bit's jutting out, and of course all this rubble again just sort of pouring out of here, like something may have collapsed. And then we get to this. This is inside. This is that door we just looked at. And again, look what's all over the floor. And I don't know. See any right angles there, guys? Do these look like they could be, you know, bricks of some kind? You know, the blocks from the blockwork. and we have this big hole in the roof. So what are we looking at here? Because when you get a different angle of that, this is the same place. Oh, this one actually, I wanted to have a look. Look at this. What's this up here? See this little bit here? And you can see there's another kind of square there. That's definitely like a square thing that's been dug out or something. And again, these striations, they're all completely level all the way around. And then we get this. So this is that same place again, all this blue metal, these massive big blocks everywhere. And I don't know, what do you reckon? Does this look like a collapsed dome? Oh, there may have been a dome up there. Because that's kind of what this looks like, doesn't it? You can imagine that could have just, like this here, could actually be part of the dome. And it's just the tops collapsed in. Was it made of these? I don't know. Probably not, because it looks like different rock here, but you know, this is the thing, we're told of all these things, and here you can see again, these blocks are everywhere. Yeah, you know, what is this? Is this part of another flooded out giant building? This is it from the air, and as you can see, it looks like it could be just a giant collapsed dome, massive doorway here, you know, other doorways or windows and things. And of course just rubble all around it. And this is that big pit that we saw. So has something collapsed in here? Was there a building there? What is going on? And here's another shot just to show that sort of dome look. And it is quite big. These are people. And so we have these types of things just all over the place. And these are the Algarve caves in Portugal. And as you can see, this is very similar. We have our big dome shape here, the hole in the middle, and these archways. Here's another shot. So you can see there's big space in there, right on the ocean. And so this is sort of what it looks like. This is the area. I'm not sure where the cave is. In here somewhere. This is a nice little juxtaposition. Someone knows what it is. And down here I'm trying to find this. So this is it as well. So we've got these big archways and these massive, what look like walls. You know, they seem to be sort of, you know, equal thickness. Yeah, and I don't know, is that something? Looks like something's fallen off the edge there. But these are very, very similar, and they do look like the inside. We have many domes that have the holes already in the middle as well, or they may have been blown out, I'm not sure. But what's really interesting about this place is it's got this. Now I've looked for the name of this, and I've just found this picture, so I might have to go onto Google Earth and have a bit more of a look. But this is marked as the Galway Caves as well. But you can see this looks to be what we call a citadel, the centre of a star fort. We can see 3 sides, so that'd be, a 6-sider. And of course, we've got the old world bridges and arches, of course built into the sea and the rocks. Not easy to do. And what's this doing built out in the water? And this big thing with a wall. See this wall going down here? And also here, down here, it's all sort of, melds into the natural rock that we see just everywhere. Yes, I found that interesting too. Like, is this some kind of a power plant or something, or part of a system that used to, use that dome? Yeah, as part of a bigger system. And I thought I'd just run through these quickly. This is just a search. This is just our cliff caves. And you can see these things are everywhere. Just these anomalous, things with right angles that look carved out. They're everywhere. Of course, we have, things like this just out in the middle of nowhere. This one's even got brickwork still in it. Of course, I'll say that someone's come along and bricked that in, and maybe they have. I don't know. Look at this big rock shelf. And there's just, yeah, anomalous stuff everywhere. What's this? Rome of the West, Cliff Cave. You know, of course, these kind of things we see everywhere. And, you know, what are these? Are these natural, or are they remnants of something else? You know, round holes and, you know, what looks like blockwork just in cliffs. Tons of this kind of stuff out in the middle of nowhere. Is that same? Maybe the same place. Of course, most of us have seen this picture. This one's in China. And, I mean, look at that. And a few more. This is Arbel Cliffs in Israel. And as you can see, it's always just going straight into the mountain. All over the place. And they've built a bit of it in, but it looks like there's a lot more going on. This Bandelier National Monument. And these are said to be cliff dwellings, no doubt for, you know, monks or something. And look at this bit here, isn't this sort of, all this sort of running effect? And see how it's a completely different look of rock right through the middle here? Again, things like this just are all over the place in the water. This is just out in the middle of Spring Valley Trail, and they've barred that one up. You can even see bricks there, so I'm not sure what they're going to say the story was there, but these things are just everywhere, guys. So I just thought I'd just show you a few of them. And, you know, all these rock bridges we see everywhere. I mean, that's a nice right angle, isn't it? Almost looks like a lintle's being whacked in there. So there you go, guys. Yeah, what's under our feet? It looks like, you know, the more we look into this, you know, if we're talking a mud flood, are we talking one? Are we talking multiple? And how deep was it in some places? Are these what, you know, all hills, or at least some, or a lot of hills are, and even mountains? They covered up buildings. Because, yeah, a lot of them seem to be empty. And then, you know, this is without even sort of touching on the subject of mines and all this kind of stuff. And, of course, in The Hobbit, the dwarves lived inside the mountain, and the mountain was just full. It was basically a city inside the mountain. So, yes, there we go. So, thanks for spending some time with me, guys. Stay awesome, because you are, and I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.